Your heart is pounding, your whole body is sweating, and you feel as though your legs could give out at any minute. Adrenaline kicks in and your whole body starts to shake. You see a large animal coming out from the woods and you await the perfect moment. You're not running from the animal, but instead you're waiting to release your arrow. By now I should have given you some sort of anxiety as you were standing in the shoes of an archery hunter. Archery hunting can be a challenge for many new beginners. Within this speech, I will outline some archery hunting history, safety, rules, and regulations of hunting white-tailed deer, and some common misconceptions about hunting. Archery is one of the oldest arts still practiced today. Although hunting probably dates back to the Stone Age, the earliest people to have used bows and arrows for warfare and hunting were the ancient Egyptians around 3000 BC. According to World Archery, published in 2018, the Chinese adopted archery around 10,000 BC during the Zhou Dynasty, in which nobles attended archery tournaments as ways of entertainment. Japan then incorporated archery into a form of martial arts known as kaijutsu, which is a form practice for physical, spiritual, and moral development. Since the invention of gunpowder, archery is no longer used for warfare and is now used as a recreational activity and sport, especially in the Olympic Games. Archery is featured in movies today, such as Robin Hood, Lord of the Rings, and The Hunger Games. Archery hunting can be dangerous, and proper safety precautions should always be followed. Pennsylvania state law requires first-time hunters to complete a hunter safety course, whether online or in physical classes, to ensure proper use of weapons. After completing the safety course, PA law requires hunters to obtain a license yearly. All hunters should participate in target practice prior to the hunting season. Targets that look similar to deer can help visualize the vital areas. According to Michael Fall's article, Basics of Hunter Safety, it is important to keep all weapons pointed in a safe direction at all times, especially when crossing hazardous areas. If sitting in a tree stand, it is important to wear a safety harness at all times. In rifle season, which starts in November, it is important to wear a single orange vest and hat. Now that I've discussed some basic tips on white-tailed deer, now that I have discussed some safety rules and regulations, I will now discuss some basic tips of white-tailed deer hunting. A male deer is called a buck, a female deer is called a doe, and a young deer is called a fawn. It is important to know the standard tags which allow you to shoot a buck, but you must apply to the state in order to shoot a doe. If you are over the age of 18, you are required to shoot a buck with 4 or more antlers, 2 on each side. However, a buck with 3 antlers on one side and 1 antler on the other side is considered legal. All antlers must be longer than 1 inch. Emergency preparedness is the number one essential when hunting. According to Michael Fall's article, Basics of Hunter Safety, creating a backpack that includes a flashlight, snacks, whistles, ponchos, mirror for signaling, medications, and a cell phone should be carried with you at all times. White-tailed deer have good eyesight, smell, and hearing, so it is important to remain quiet, wear camouflage, and use non-scented soaps when hunting them. When deer are spooked, they run with their tails straight up, white fur showing to indicate danger to other deer. After shooting a deer, there is a great deal of excitement. However, it is important to remain quiet when tracking a deer. After you shoot a deer, they usually kick, dash, and disappear. It's important to wait a few minutes before tracking, or you might spook them further into the woods. After waiting a few minutes, try to visualize a few drops of blood from where you shot the deer. This will lead you to larger pools of blood until you come across the deer. Proceed with caution, however, before approaching the deer. Wounded animals behave in unpredictable ways. According to Michael Fall's article, Basics of Hunter Safety, observe the deer's ribcage to spot any movement. The deer's eyes should be open, and if it is not, touch it with a stick and observe for twitches. Now that we have discussed the basic hunting basics, I will discuss some common misconceptions of hunting. One of the top common misconceptions of hunting is that it is considered animal cruelty. Most animals don't pass away in comfort and die an antagonizing and violent death. According to Tom Dickinson in his article, Hunting Myths, He states, although a hunter's bullet or arrow can cause a wild animal pain and trauma, such a death is no worse than other ways of wildlife perish. A deer that is not shot will be killed by a predator, car, exposure, or starvation. Hunters do not do any favors by killing an animal, however, they do not do anything unnaturally cruel. The next misconception about hunting is that hunters are dangerous or trigger happy. It is natural that hunting would cause more accidents due to the use of weapons. However, according to Dom Dickinson in his article Hunting Myths, National Safety Council statistics show that far more people per 100,000 are injured while bicycling or playing baseball rather than hunting. Just as hunters handle their weapons cautiously, hunters strive to kill their game as cleanly as possible. Most hunters obey the law and act ethically to follow wounded animals into the woods to ensure suffering ends quickly. The last common misconception is that hunters are harming wildlife populations. Hunters support federal and state agencies which limit hunting seasons from a few months to a few weeks in the year, placing restrictions on the amount of animals they kill and restrictions on a few female species. Regulations ensure wildlife populations stay healthy. Restrictions challenge the pursuit of game, making it more difficult, which require hunters to have more patience and hunting skill. In conclusion, archery hunting is about understanding wildlife, following rules and safety regulations, and understanding the common misconceptions of hunting. Before heading out into the woods, you will now understand more about white-tailed deer and the process of archery hunting.